So there's some very serious allegations about an entire country being starved, and this very plump politician says good.
About the 2.2 million people who are starving right now.
Release the hostages.
You obviously eat well. What about the people who have...
He sure does. As, of course, the question remains, what in the world is going on with Israel? All of this, as, of course, we are getting rumblings that they are ready to go back with Iran with another potential conflict that Donald Trump just signaled he's ready to join in at any moment, at any time. As the question remains, what in the world is also going on with Gaza, as there are major influence campaigns and bigger ones ahead that, of course, are meant to send out government propaganda that some people are falling for. What's the truth here? What in the world is really going on here? As, of course, there's some very crazy, disturbing images coming from Gaza right now that I think are worth the conversation, especially with some of the more kind of despicable, disgusting actions by some members of Congress that are literally rooting and calling for more of it. As, of course, human decency should be respected. And it's fair to assume here that a lot of that has been lost here in this very highly divisive emotional conflict that clearly isn't going to be ending anytime soon, as we were promised a ceasefire, and that ceasefire didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? What's really going on here? As the United States government allegedly is calling Benjamin Netanyahu a madman. Is that true here? Well, they're still supporting him. As the questions still remain, what in the world's going on here? We're going to do our best to try to answer that. And if you appreciate that, subscribe, click the notification button, as we have this article here from The Guardian that reads, mass starvation spreading across Gaza. Aid agencies warn as the Israeli government says it is not responsible as it happened. More than 100 aid agencies, including Doctors Without Borders, Save the Children, and Oxfam, say our colleagues and those we serve are, quote, wasting away. Now, there's a lot of crazy images here. I don't want to show you some of the images because they're just too disturbing here. But for the Israeli government to say, oh, we're not responsible, as they literally blockade in the entire place, and now they say, well, no more aid. How else are they supposed to be making their own food? How else are they supposed to be procuring resources when they're under a constant state of being in war and being in refugee camps? As, listen, I don't think these international aid organizations are all lying. Now, if it was Hamas coming out, Hamas says we're all doing this, give us monies, I'd be like, okay, that's Hamas. But 100 different organizations, and when you see the photos, and you see the videos, and you see how disturbing it is, there's no way to fake that, right? I don't think there is. And if it was fake, I think it would be called out automatically here. But I think the photos and videos kind of speak for themselves, especially when you look at the gaunt children here that look like they are having one of the worst times of their lives here. As, of course, the onus is on not just the occupying force, but the force that closed down the border. Now, we have heard the Israelis say, no, we can't give them aid. The United States is like, hey, please give them aid. They're like, no, we can't. The Israeli plan was to set up permanent bases within Gaza in order to then give out that aid there. So they made sure that aid wasn't given out to, quote, the bad people, so the bad people couldn't weaponize it or monetize it for their own kind of personal needs and wants. But even then, I mean, we have a very interesting explanation from Bibi Netanyahu about all of this, as the Israeli government is saying, well, we're not responsible for this famine. Free the hostages. As, of course, the hostage debate is also convoluted, as the Israeli government has their own hostages. The Palestinian people, specifically Hamas, has hostages too, but a lot of now the Hamas hostages are Israeli soldiers that they captured. The Israelis have a whole bunch of Hamas soldiers that they captured. Now, that's the kind of misnomer, as a lot of people are saying, no, they're all just hostages. No, there's also soldiers that are, caught here, and, they're prisoners of war. Let's just be honest. There's a full-on war going on here. As the Israeli government on Wednesday said, it's not responsible for the chronic shortage of food in Gaza, instead accusing Palestinian militants Hamas of deliberately creating a crisis. The comments come after 115 aid organizations warned on Wednesday of mass starvation spreading in Gaza. The group called for an imminent negotiated ceasefire, the opening of all land crossings, and the free flow of aid through UN-led mechanisms. And the Israelis are saying, nope, we're not going to allow any of that. That's pretty, listen, that's pretty gosh darn awful, okay? Well, I don't care whatever side you're on. There's a lot of Israelis now that are protesting inside of Israel. That's not getting a lot of attention there, as of course on social media, we're being told, no, it's all Hamas. It's all Hamas saying they're starving. They're fake. They're not starving. Again, it's all about the sphere of influence here that absolutely matters. As the Irish Deputy Prime Minister came out with a statement describing what's happening right now in Gaza as a, quote, affront to our collective humanity. As other countries are speaking out here and saying, hey, can we just get food in? Can we get some aid in? Can we make sure that people aren't starved? Is that too hard to ask for? As we have Randy Fine, a member of Congress that took Matt Gaetz's seat, I believe, came out and said, release the hostages. Until then, starve away. Not the best of statements to make here. That, of course, inflame the situation and highlight the kind of total lack of humanity here. Before talking about that and the propaganda and the Iran scuttlebutt and talks of the conflict again being started up again, we wanted to, of course, tell you about wearechange.shop. We have our own store. It's a great store. We have some great products. One of the products that I take during the middle of the day with my lunch is Essential Fatty. It is fish oil made from small fish. I don't trust big fish in America. Lots of them are filled with a lot of really bad stuff. Type in omega-3 into Twitter, and then you get a lot of really interesting really interesting kind of takes on this from random people talking about how a lot of people take it every day. This one person reports taking omega-3s every day for heart and brain health. Other people are talking about how omega-3s actually help lower inflammation and help with high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, autoimmune disease, and, quote, so much more. Another person talked about how omega-3 supplements slow human biological aging by nearly 4 months. And a lot of people are saying it's a part of their top 5 supplements. As, of course, I think Dana Patrick is another person that loves talking about fish oils. And that's why we decided to source some of the best fish oils on the market. And we have them available for $29. We only have 54 of these bottles left. And again, I like it. It's right here on my desk. And I make sure, oops, I did. That's the creatine. I had some creatine, and I, again, have another empty box here because I actually take the supplements that I sell. Essential Fatty right here. Can't recommend it enough. Really great, good stuff. And very interesting studies coming out right now with smokers who take omega-3. Very, very fascinating stuff. If you're a smoker, I don't recommend it. Quit. Try to take care of your health. Try to exercise. Try to sleep. Try to have a proper diet. A lot of people just don't do the basic stuff. You got to do the basic stuff. And then look at wearechange.shop because, again, some people just thrive off of fish oils. I think genetically I'm really happy with fish oils. And I don't know. I think it might help you. Do your own research before putting anything into your body. Now, Congressman Randy Fine saying this and then adding, this is all a lie anyway. It amazes me that the media continues to regurgitate Muslim terror propaganda. Listen, some of those organizations, especially Doctors Without Borders, have done pretty good work. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. To label all of that now Muslim terror propaganda, to have like photojournalists and reporters highlight the very dire situation there and to confer that with Muslim terror propaganda. I mean, come on. That's just a little bit too much here, as clearly emotions are running very high here, as he is directly responding to ABC News that is talking about how 15 people have died, including four children, from famine and malnutrition. What kind of like, I mean, the human body could go a long time with water, but what type of desperate situation where people are literally dying because of lack of food, as you are blockading a people in a small territory where they can't kind of move and get out and get help. It's a horrible situation, and it looks like the Israelis are trying to put maximum pressures on the people of Gaza to have them kind of acquiesce to this ceasefire. And on the ceasefire, Donald Trump talked about, we're going to have a ceasefire in a few days. Hasn't worked. This maximum pressure campaign, I would argue, is unethical, and it is evil, as people are now responding to Randy Fine saying this by showing images of obese men. And again, these comments at this particular time, I mean, the people of Gaza, there's 2 million of them. And the fact that food is not getting in, the fact that they're not getting any kind of help here, the fact that you even saying anything about this as they starve an entire population of people, the fact that that's being equated with Muslim terror propaganda, I mean, that's ridiculous here. Okay? That is absolutely crazy. As people are now saying, we in the Orthodox Jewish community do not claim this guy. The responses here are pretty telling, as a lot of people are saying, that sounds like something a mentally stable person would say. WTF is wrong with everyone. Yeah. When a politician calls for the starvation of children, it's not strategy, it's the mask slipping, someone else wrote here. And again, pretty disgusting, pretty tasteless comments here, as there are some other Israeli influencers online that are saying, but what about the starving children in Africa? Okay, what about them? It's not Israel blocking them into a specific section of a border, telling them that they can't leave and denying them access to food and water. Okay? That's why we're not talking about Africa. Africa's dealing with their own kind of problems. Africa's dealing with huge amounts of issues, especially when it comes to lack of infrastructure, lack of maintenance, and lack of proper governing institutions that, of course, are there that are absolutely corrupted. Now, what's happening in Gaza isn't just a natural disaster or a failure of government. It is overreach of government that is trying to put the pressure specifically on a population in order for them to get rid of their own type of government. As Elad David is saying, everyone's focused on the fake starvation hoax. Again, really bad type of situation here, as he then talks about, look, Yemen is starving too. Okay, Israel literally just bombed their major ports. And then he says, why don't you care about these millions of starving children? There's a full-on civil war within Yemen between the Saudi Arabian, Israeli-backed Al-Qaeda Sunni guys and the Shia-backed rebel groups in the region, the Houthis, that the United States military and the Israeli military can't get rid of. So the Israeli military just bombed the crap out of their ports and major significant parts of their infrastructure, which only creates more of a hazardous situation for the Yemeni people that are also dealing with huge significant issues. As now, there are even protests in Tel Aviv where people are marching. Israeli people are marching and saying, hey, can we please stop starving people? This is not okay. Can we please stop? Can we please not be aiding and abetting what looks like the elimination of an entire group of people here? And again, we're not. I'm doing my best here not to show you a lot of the really kind of crazy stuff, because when you look at the crazy stuff, it's just wild here. And again, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, "Oh, Muslim, you're promoting Muslim terror." How many independent organizations coming out and saying the same thing? That many photos, that many videos? I'm sorry, I don't think so. As of course, Bibi Netanyahu talked about the importance and an eighth front of war, which is influence in war. as there are multiple programs right now buying off and compromising a lot of influencers in order to do the shilling of the Israeli state here, as there are reports coming out saying that allegedly influencers are being invited on Israeli trips. Some people are saying that there's allegedly one ongoing with 550 MAGA people. I haven't seen that confirmed here, but what we do know is that the Nelk boys, who just interviewed Bibi Netanyahu, were, by the way, told exactly what to ask, as they were told how to dress. The set was made for them. They were told not to touch anything. They were told to sit down, and they were told to regurgitate questions that were given to them.
And there was just like 20 people in suits there.
Yeah.
The setup was already there. Both flags. We couldn't touch anything or move anything.
And they don't give you any restrictions like don't ask this.
I'll be honest. They gave us a paper with questions to ask, but they also said they gave us a script to ask, but we didn't really follow it. Yeah. We tried our very best to ask some questions, but I think
I like.
We tried our very best to ask some questions. No, you didn't. You asked softball questions, and the only contention you ever gave back was specifically about Burger King. As again, there was one question that again wasn't followed up on, and this is what Bibi had to say about this entire matter and this entire situation, and it wasn't contested. It wasn't talked about. As of course he's arguing, yeah, we need to starve an entire population because their government is bad. That's literally like us saying, yeah, we're going to starve a whole entire country. We're going to starve all of New York City because there's some politicians in New York City that we don't like and don't like us. That's insane.
Why do they say Israel's like starving the people of Gaza?
Well, because we're trying to get the food.
Why do people say they're starving people? Like, again, very softball answer here. And then here Bibi gives his kind of answer here, which, again, no pushback, no direct kind of questioning of like, wait, what? What did you say? How does that make sense here? Why are you punishing innocent people?
Well, because we're trying to get the food in, and we let food trucks in, and guess what happens?
You do? You're trying to, then why are people starving if you're trying to get the food in? You're the one blocking in the border. That statement doesn't add up here. Israel's blocking aid and food from coming in. Right? That's what I would have said. Hey, if you're trying to get food in, why are you stopping food from getting in now? Right? Why are you trying to invert reality? Why are you trying to tell me that you're not slapping me upside the face here, as the Nelk boys are like on their knees?
Because we're trying to get the food in, and we let food trucks in, and guess what happens when we let them in? Hamas steals the food, takes the good chunk for itself, then they jack up the prices, and then they sell the food to its population, to its hungry population, if they give them at all, and then use the money that they take from their own people to recruit more killers into their terror machine.
Yep, so therefore we have to starve an entire country of 2 million people. What? Again, that answer is just absolutely... I think it's stunning. It's stunning, the recklessness, the type of hubris to say, yeah, we're going to starve all children here because some food might be weaponized. I mean, they literally dropped food from the air. Now, he's making an assertion here. Is that assertion true? Is it not true? I don't know. I would need to see some proof and evidence of that. But you're saying, hey, someone might weaponize this food, so we can't give food, and we have to shut people down from being able to escape the prison we're putting them in, and we're just not going to feed them. All right? That's like saying, hey, I'm in a jail, and we're going to stop feeding the jail because someone traded their biscuits for something. What? No one would allow that to happen. As, of course, it does look like that the more that there is controversy, the more that there is fighting, the more that there is instability, the more Bibi Netanyahu gets to stay in power. And there's a lot of Israelis who don't want to see him there. And that's why the tensions between Iran could kick off at any moment, at any time now, as Iran came out and said, we're ready for war with Israel. We rebuilt everything, and we will not halt our nuclear program. As Donald Trump came out and said, Iran's foreign minister on the Iran nuclear sites says that damages are very severe. They are destroyed. Of course they are, just like I said. And we will do it again, Donald Trump. And we will do it again if necessary. As interviewed by Brett Barr, fake news CNN should immediately fire their phony reporter and apologize to me and the great pilots who obliterated Iran's nuclear sites. CNN is a major ratings loser, as is MSDNC. And again, this is the key part. And we will do it again if, quote, necessary here. As Israel's army chief came out and said, listen, this war's not over. As Israel said, yeah, we're going to dominate the airspace. And we're going to bomb them whenever we want. Israel just bombed Syria. Israel just bombed Lebanon. Israel just bombed Yemen. And listen, this conflict here is not ending here. This starvation of Gaza is meant to, of course, boil over tensions, make people angry, and in my opinion, meant to, of course, break the will of the people in order to make them acquiesce towards the population that is starving them. I think this is wrong. I think this is evil. I know there's going to be some people that are going to be like, oh, no, you're wrong. Okay, tell me how. Tell me how am I wrong? Tell me how over 100 of these organizations are wrong. Tell me how I am wrong, as the Israelis are literally blocking aid and food from going in while blocking people in. The plan is to, of course, kick them out. And I think this is also a part of the plan here because they want to take all the Gazans and they want to put them in Europe. They want to put him in Canada. They want to put him in America, and they're going around. The Israeli chief was just inside of the United States saying, can you guys take some Gazans for us? And of course, listen, there's probably going to be a probability that we do. That's just the truth here. Again, I think this is absolutely wrong. If you agree, share this video. Thank you so much for everyone who is getting our supplements on wearechange.shop. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that. And that's why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.